We've successfully created a new client using the API and assigned them a site with the right permissions. But our client still needs to gain access to their account. In this lesson, we'll go over the API call that generates access links for them. But before we do that, just like we've been seeing throughout this course, let's see how we can manage client access to their accounts via the interface. Click the three dots next to our client's info and select Manage Access. Using the Duda interface, we have two options to notify clients about their account access: sharing a direct login link or sending them an invitation email. If you decide to send an email, they'll receive this message with a link to set their password. You can even customize part of this email by hovering over Clients and Team and clicking on Client Invitation. But if you want full control over the email's content, you might prefer generating a URL and sending that instead. Both links will direct the client to the login page where they'll need to set a password. And once they're logged in, they'll be sent to their dashboard where they'll be able to manage their site. Let's now turn to the API docs to see what calls we can use to automate this process. You'll see a category labeled Authentication, where we can generate login links for clients to sign into their account. But we'll also find a call labeled Get SSO Link, which is a GET request that generates SSO links. This allows users to log in directly without having to create a new password, streamlining the process with a single sign-on link. Another benefit of using the SSO link is that it gives you greater control over where you direct your clients, allowing you to send them beyond just the dashboard, as we'll see shortly. In this video, we'll be working with this API call and exploring a couple of examples of where we can send users. This call requires the account name as a path parameter, but depending on where we want to send the users, we might also need to include some query parameters. Let's keep it simple to start and generate an SSO link that doesn't need any query parameters, like sending them straight to the dashboard. As we'll see shortly, we can generate an SSO link that sends users elsewhere instead of their dashboard, like to the editor, the template chooser, the AI builder, or the simple editor, and more. A quick note before we dive into our example. SSO tokens are time-sensitive and expire after just 2 minutes. To ensure the token is valid when used, the SSO link should be generated after the user is authenticated in your system and has initiated an action to access the editor, for example, by clicking a Launch or Edit button. The SSO request should be triggered as close to the point of redirection as possible, and this timing helps prevent token expiration before use. Let's go ahead and enter the account name, which is the only required field. And remember, since we're sending this user to the dashboard, we do not need to enter any query parameters. Just to double check, the doc says that when our target location is the dashboard, it does not have any query params. This time, instead of manually creating the endpoint, I'll choose shell as the language. This will provide me with a curl request in the playground with a path that already includes the account name in the URL. So all I have to do is copy the request as is. When you're ready, head over to Postman to send in our request. Let's add a new request to the collection and give it a name. This is a GET request, so we'll leave the default method. And just paste in the endpoint, which already has the account name included in the path. When you are ready, go ahead and hit Send to make the request. A successful call to the API will return a 200 status code, along with an SSO link to the user's dashboard in the response body. Open the link to confirm that what you're seeing is the client's dashboard. Great. Now let's look at another example. This time, let's send our client to their site's editor. This target location requires a query in the path with the value editor. And if we take a closer look at the documentation, we'll learn that if a target is specified, meaning if our path requires a query, then we need to include the site name and the target value as a query. Let's set this up. We already have the account name added to the path. Under Target, select Editor. Remember, since we're specifying a target, we'll need to also provide the site alias. When you're ready, copy the URL from the playground. Notice that the URL already has the query parameters added to it. Then head back to Postman to make this request. Create a new request and give it a name. Then paste in the endpoint. Something neat about Postman is that when you add a request with query parameters, Postman organizes them in the request view. This means you can also set up calls with query parameters directly in Postman, rather than relying on the playground in the developer docs. When you're ready, click Send to make the request. We should once again see a 200 status code along with a URL in the response body. Open the link and you should find yourself in the editor. And that wraps up this lesson. You've seen how we can send clients to their dashboard or other areas like the site editor by generating SSO links with the right query parameters. This call can also be used for your staff, giving them direct access to specific areas without needing to log in each time. With the Get SSO link, the possibilities expand even further for where you can send users, allowing you to make Duda truly your own.